Hey, everyone, welcome back to Dinar Stories. I'm really glad you're here tonight, especially on a Saturday. I know you could be doing a lot of other things, but the fact that you're spending a few minutes with me tells me something important. It tells me you're paying attention. It tells me you haven't given up. And it tells me you understand, even if you dawn to always feel it, that something real is happening in Iraq. Not everything looks like the rumors say it does. And things don't always move on the timeline we wish. I know what it's like to follow this space for years, cycling through hope, frustration, and confusion while the noise gets louder and clarity feels farther away. I've been there. You've been there. That's why I want to start tonight by acknowledging you. I see you. I hear you. I'm not here to hype anything up. I never am. But I am here to show you something genuinely worth understanding. Recently, an article has been circulating in the community about Iraq's oil revenues and the U.S. Federal Reserve. Some people reacted with concern, some with confusion, and some with excitement that isn't fully warranted. That's why a calm, grounded breakdown is needed. Let me be clear, this is not a prediction. It is not a signal that something dramatic will happen overnight. What I will do is walk you through a topic that touches on Iraq's financial sovereignty, the Federal Reserve, Iraq's oil revenues, and what all of this means for the long-term trajectory of the Iraqi dinar. By the end, you'll understand this better than most who've been following for years. The core issue of the article focuses on why Iraq's oil revenues are held in an account at the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank in New York. This has caused confusion because some people frame it as a form of foreign control. Here's the reality. This system has been in place since 2003, right after the fall of Saddam's regime. Back then, Iraq owed significant debts from past conflicts, and moving money without protection could have exposed the country to international seizure. So the Development Fund for Iraq, or DFI, was created to protect these assets while Iraq rebuilt itself. This system isn't new. It isn't a crisis. It isn't a sudden threat. It's a legal and financial safeguard that has been working for over 2 decades. Now, some people point to U.S. leverage as evidence of control, and to an extent, that's true. The U.S. has influence. But leverage isn't exploitation, and protection isn't total control. Understanding the difference is crucial. Iraq has already proven it can manage its finances carefully. Remember, it exited Chapter 7 of the UN Charter in 2022. Having repaid major reparations to Kuwait. It's been gradually reducing external debt owed to about 46 countries, and it's been building strong financial reserves and infrastructure. Any hasty moves would expose Iraq's assets to legal risks and jeopardize ongoing investment. That's why policymakers move so deliberately. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Iraq's financial reforms are not superficial, they are foundational. First, they are building a modern digital and electronic infrastructure. Electronic payments and digital currency systems are expanding, and the country is reducing its dependency on the old dollar-denominated auction model. Second, look at their reserve accumulation. Foreign currency reserves have grown to around $115 billion. Gold reserves have also increased from 40 tons to nearly 74 tons. They're diversifying their revenue streams. Tourism, silica mining, rare earth minerals, and energy infrastructure are all growing. The Tir Transit Corridor strengthens Iraq as a regional trade hub, and they are improving their energy self-sufficiency by monetizing flared gas, which means payments to Iran for electricity have dropped significantly. All of this shows Iraq is building a modern, globally integrated financial system. And you know who's noticing? Investors. Serious investors do not commit billions of dollars if they perceive instability. Yet the World Bank is expanding its presence. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development is active. Hundreds of companies attended the Battle Investment Conference, showing confidence in Iraq's long-term trajectory. Japan, South Korea, and Saudi Arabia are actively investing in infrastructure and energy. Capital flows towards stability. Right now, it's flowing into Iraq. Yes, political challenges exist. We hear about Iran-backed factions' legacy policies from previous governments and the old auction systems. But through all of this, the Central Bank of Iraq has maintained its operational independence. Most of the meaningful reforms are technical and institutional, not political. That's why we see reserve growth, electronic payments, ISO compliance, and investment inflows continue despite the political noise. From a long-term monetary perspective, Iraq isn't building its financial system in isolation. It's aligning with global standards. We're talking ISO 20022 compliance, integration with international payment rails, and diversified reserves with proper risk management. These are the elements that ensure Iraq can eventually achieve a realistic, effective exchange rate for the dinar that reflects its true economic value. The narrative isn't about crisis, it's about strategic, deliberate progress. So, what is the practical takeaway if you're holding Iraqi dinar? First, don't panic. And second, don't rush to make decisions based on headlines. Instead, watch the structural indicators. Look at the reserve figures, the electronic payment infrastructure, investment inflows, improvements in the energy sector, debt reduction, and the development of non-oil revenue streams. Preparation always beats speculation. The slow, quiet work Iraq is doing right now is laying the foundation for long-term financial sovereignty and growth. The article circulating tonight is a reminder. Iraq's financial evolution is methodical and deliberate. The DFI system, Federal Reserve protections, ongoing reforms, and diversification strategies are all part of a clear plan. The path is slow, yes, but it is deliberate. And for those watching carefully, the evidence shows that Iraq is preparing for a strong, stable future. So stay patient, stay informed, and stay grounded in facts. Preparation beats speculation every single time. Thanks for joining me tonight. Share this with anyone who needs clarity. Subscribe to Dinar Stories for more insights and join our community to watch, learn, and prepare together.